Dregs, how did we get to the point where the Habs had to be sidelined for this entire week?
Well, you know what, Gino, it really speaks to what went on yesterday when we first learned that there were two players placed on the COVID-19 protocol list of the National Hockey League. Now, because of the lateness of that determination, the fact that there was a late test received, the National Hockey League, the Montreal Canadiens, the health authorities couldn't do their appropriate contact tracing yesterday. So they had to go through the process again today. They go through the contact tracing. Ultimately, then they talk to their medical experts, and all of that consultation boils together, and the National Hockey League makes its decision. That's exactly what the news is at this point, that games involving the Montreal Canadiens have been postponed through March 28th.
Okay, so the regular season was supposed to end on May the 8th, but with these 4 games now postponed, and given how tight the schedule already was, what do you see happening next?
Yeah. Well, there's some juggling, obviously, by the people who run the matrix, the NHL scheduling. The office of Steve Hatzopetros has been very busy throughout this regular season. You're not just talking about the Montreal Canadiens and the Edmonton Oilers here. You're talking about other teams impacted in the North Division. I know that the group that again manages the scheduling for the NHL is going to work incredibly hard to try and squeeze as many games as they can up until May 10th. So you could see, say, Montreal and Ottawa play on May 10th, but a makeup game or two may not happen by May 10th involving the Oilers and the Montreal Canadiens. So there's a lot of work that needs to get done, but the reality of postponing the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs is real. I mean, that's likely going to happen, especially if we have another situation or example of this.
Yeah, good point. Dave, what about from the players' perspective? Suddenly, they've got a vastly condensed schedule, even more so than before. And at this point, they're not even sure when the playoffs start.
Well, the first thought is frustration. They're going to be unbelievably frustrated. They've been able to avoid it. They've watched what's happened south of the border, and yet they've been able to avoid in the North Division any sort of cancellation. And now they're off for the better part of a week. The second thing is compression, Gino. They're looking now at more than a game every 2 days, and they're trying to figure out how that's going to impact their group and how they can possibly take a deep breath and get through what's going to be an incredibly intense schedule.
It's crazy. The Oilers were supposed to play 3 in Montreal before heading to Toronto on Saturday, so it's going to be interesting to see how they handle their travel plans